So it is my great pleasure to be interviewing Kayan Wesley, who is an aerial performer who specializes in aerial silks. She hails from Nova Scotia. At age 16, she studied with the Halifax Circus and has since trained with multiple circuses across Canada. She was the athletic director for the Flying Project, an organization that seeks to adapt the athleticism of circus arts to bring mobility to people with disabilities. She attended university in Newfoundland and Toronto, where she studied criminology and psychology. She joins me now from Nova Scotia. Kayan, welcome.
Thank you.
So I'm so happy to be here with you today. And my first question for you is, when did you first know that art mattered to you?
So I have to say I knew my whole life that art mattered. Like when I was a kid, I was always, sketching and drawing and dancing and taking pictures. But it was always tough because I wasn't necessarily good at any art. I wasn't a good painter. I wasn't a good dancer. I was terrible at taking pictures. So when I was 16 and I had the opportunity to spend a day at Halifax Circus with the Flying Project, it was pretty much from the first day that I was up in the silks and up in the circus bungees that I said, wait a second, this is something that I can actually do. This is something that I'm actually good at. And from there I was sold, and from that day, that's when I knew that the aerial arts really mattered to me, because I finally kind of found something that not only was it an art that I loved to do, but it was something that I was actually, not bad at.
I think that's so interesting to examine how other art forms can be a pathway to
Yeah.
discovering what really is yours to
Yes.
have.
Yeah.
So that begs the question, is there someone or someones from your past who inspired you?
Yeah, my mom is probably my biggest inspiration in all areas of my life. She's tough as nails, but she's also an artist. She does it all. She's a painter. She's good at it, unlike me. And she also blows fire, which is, something that's in the circus quite a bit. So I remember being a kid and I always thought, Mom, why aren't you in Cirque du Soleil, or why aren't you out there doing something, blowing fire professionally? But my whole life, my mom has always inspired me pretty much in everything that I do.
That's amazing. And so there are often times in our pursuit of our art form that we either doubt our ability or doubt our commitment. And when I was watching you up on the silks, I mean, just the danger of it, I was sort of imagining that, because you can be really, really high.
Yeah.
And so, is there a time that you've ever doubted your ability or your commitment to the silks?
Yeah, so it's been hard for me. I really found a home at Halifax Circus when I was there. And of course, when I moved to a new city for the first time, like all on my own for the first time, I was like, learning how to live alone and how to find my way in the world. And then I had to find a new circus, and I had to find a place there where I fit in. And then, of course, a few years later, I moved to Toronto, and I had to start the whole cycle over again of kind of trying to find a place where I fit in. So in between these times, like finding a circus in Newfoundland and then finding one in Toronto, I spent a lot of time away from it. So going back kind of felt like starting all over. And every time I had to start over, I felt like, oh my God, I can't do this again. Like, I can't start at square one. I can't go back to the beginning. And then, of course, when COVID started and all of the gyms got shut down, and I moved home here with my mom, again, I said, oh, this is never going to end, and I'm never gonna be up in the air again. But I got over it. I got a little aerial rig in the backyard, and here we are.
That's great. And so, as you think about your art form, which, I mean, you're the first person that I've ever known personally
Yeah.
that did silks. You know, I've certainly seen other people perform it,
Yeah.
but what would you like the people that are going to view this video to know about aerial silks? Possibly, what are the spiritual connotations? What is the athleticism of it?
Mhm.
You know, anything that speaks to you that you would like for people to know.
Yeah. I mean, I always thought before I started doing this that it was just like acrobats. It was just a trick and a performance. But after I started doing it, I learned that like you can really put a message into your dance and into your routine. So I guess I'd let people know, you can find meaning in these aerial dances the same way you can find meaning in a dance on the floor. And I'd also want people to know that literally anybody can do it. It's tough at first, but it gets easy. If you want to try it, you should just go out and try it because anybody can do it, and it's so much fun.
And so you mentioned meaning. So,
Yes.
what kind of messages are coming from you out into the world in that
I,
art form?
I usually use it. I use it like in one of two ways. I use it to deal with stuff that I'm going through. Like I just dance it out, and something comes from it eventually. Or one thing is like when I hear music, usually it's music that inspires me. When I hear a song that I find really beautiful, I dance to the song, I guess you could say. So it's either, a song that I like or something that I'm going through that comes out.
Now, you mentioned the inspiration of
Yes.
music and perhaps the
Yeah.
lyrics. Is there anything else that inspires you to create a new piece?
Mm, I think those two are the main things, but yeah, the music is a big one. I always say it's funny that my art is inspired by someone else's art. Um, it all goes together.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
Yeah,
that's sort of the community
yeah,
aspect of it. Even if you're
exactly.
working alone,
Yeah,
one art form or because it's kind of like a conversation.
it is. Yeah, and the fact like I take other people's music and I use it. So I always feel like I'm working with someone else, even when I'm all by myself.
And so, in the area of that sort of idea that your art form is a conversation that
Mm.
you're having with the world, what are the conversations that you're speaking? I mean, of course, it would be the lyrics of the music or the feeling of the music, but are there other things that are just really personal to the fiber of your being that express themselves on the silks?
Um, I'm not sure if I understand the question. Um,
Well, I mean, we all have things that really matter to us.
yeah,
And so those things, I mean, you have worked with people with disabilities and things like that. Are
yes,
there, I mean, just looking at personal self-expression that would
yeah,
be yours rather than from coming from the outside of you?
yeah. So it is very much about things that I've gone through or things that I'm going through in the moment. Pain, I use it to express pain and happiness. But it is really personal to me to kind of bring it out there so everyone can do it. Because there were a lot of times in my life when I thought that I wouldn't be able to do it, or that I wasn't good enough or strong enough for it. So it does mean a lot to me to put it out there, and that's really personal to me to have it accessible to anybody who wants to do it.
And in terms of that accessibility, how, when you were working with people that
Mhm,
have disabilities of some kind, perhaps being, mobility issues,
mhm.
wheelchair bound, that sort of thing, what does that look like when you're working with somebody?
So I worked more with Beth, who's the director of the whole program. So she has her studio, and usually what would happen is I would go over and she has a whole rigging system set up with probably 10 different types of rigging that she's invested in over the years. And we would talk about the issues she had last time, and how we can fix it. So if she had someone in a wheelchair and they had certain issues with the rigging, we would talk about it and we would come up with some solutions, and then we'd spend the day changing the rigging and testing things out. So that was more what I did, was the planning and the preparing. But it's interesting for sure.
And so did you find that there were a lot of people that had mobility issues that were able to really connect with this and find self-expression in it?
Yeah, so there were definitely quite a few people, and of course we're always hoping to expand it and bring more people in and have more people for the opportunity. But there's always going to be people who want to try it, right?
That's
And
great.
people
So
who can help.
So, if you had one message that you
Mhm.
wanted to deliver to participants about fusing art into their world,
Yeah,
what would that message be?
I would say to find art and to find beauty everywhere in life, and not wait for it to come to you or wait for it to be perfect. I've been a lot happier in life since I started seeing beautiful things everywhere and just looking for them. It's like the saying, stop and smell the roses, I guess.
Yeah,
But it really is. I really live by that, and it really makes a big difference in life when you make a point to find beautiful things.
that's really great. So it was just so great to be here with you today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
And I just loved being able to interview someone with such a unique art form.
Thank you.
So, Kayan Wesley, thank you so much. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure.